Section 2. Administrative Provisions. Section 2 basically discusses how customs bonded warehouses or CBWs operate, especially when it comes to transferring, storing, and importing goods. This explains that all actions involving the warehouse and goods must follow proper customs procedures to maintain legality and order. Subsection 2.1 General Consideration. Subsection 2.1.1 Transfer of goods to CBWs. Goods for transfer to CBWs must undergo non-intrusive inspection at the port of discharge. This ensures nga walay illegal items nga ma-transfer unless selected for full physical inspection or alert order. Goods will be allowed for immediate transfer after the inspection is done. Meaning, before goods are moved to a warehouse, they must be inspected by a customs for safety and legality unless it is placed under alert order. Subsection 2.1.2 Storage period of bonded goods. Goods inside a CBW can stay for a maximum of 1 year from arrival, and for perishable goods, the storage period is only 3 months, but it can be extended for another 3 months if there is a valid reason and a written request. So, dili pwede magpabili og dugay ang goods sa warehouse kay kinahanglan yun sila ma-process or ma-export on time. Subsection 2.1.3 Allowable importations. This states that only approved raw materials within the authorized quantity or volume may be imported. First, the raw materials must match the approved tariff lines. B. Ang quantity or volume must follow what is approved, such as kilos, liters, or meters. C. For industry-specific customs bonded warehouse, each client can only import what is approved for their specific production needs. If they import more than what is allowed under their license, kailangan gid bayaran ang mga corresponding duties and taxes. Subsection 2.1.4 Non-importation of finished goods. This explains that CBWs cannot import finished goods unless those are components to be used to make another export product. So, this naingon nga CBWs for production is and export only, not for storing ready-to-sell items. Subsection 2.1.5 Restricted and regulated goods. Goods that are restricted or regulated like firearms or mga chemical need nila proper clearance or permits from concerned authorities. If wala, they are subject to seizure and forfeitures. So meaning, dili pwede mag-store og sensitive items without proper legal documents ang CBW. Subsection 2.1.6 Withdrawals for local sales or domestic consumption. Withdrawal for local sale is only allowed with the district collector's approval and payment of duties and taxes, but only up to 30% of the total imported raw materials may be sold locally. This ensures nga most of the imported materials are still used for export, not for local profit. Subsection 2.1.7 Withdrawal for subcontracting. If a CBW operator or member cannot meet the production targets due to lack of facilities, they can subcontract the work pero with the approval of customs, and only accredited subcontractors are allowed to do the job, and the job must be clearly defined. For garments and textiles manufacturing customs bonded warehouse, there are some specific rules to be followed, and after processing, the finished products must be returned to the CBW and inspected for duties and taxes. So, this provision makatabang sa industries to meet export deadlines without breaking customs laws. Subsection 2.1.8 Provision on importations by industry-specific customs bonded warehouse. Industry-specific customs bonded warehouse cannot import garment materials like fibers or yarns unless approved. So this prevents misuse of bonded privileges or other industries. Subsection 2.2 provisions specific to common customs bonded warehouses or CCBWs. Subsection 2.2.1 accreditation. A manufacturer exporter must be accredited under only one mother warehouse, meaning one company equals one main bonded warehouse. This is for the purpose of monitoring. Subsection 2.2.2 record keeping and inspection. The mother warehouse and their members must always keep complete records of imported materials and allow customs to inspect them anytime. They must also secure the goods from theft, fire, or loss. Subsection 2.2.3 accessibility. The warehouse must be open to authorized customs officials for inspection anytime with an approved mission order. Subsection 2.2.4 transfer to member warehouses. All goods going to member warehouses must first pass through CCBW operators for recording unless the collector approves direct transfer. Subsection 2.2.5 responsibility of CCBW operators. The CCBW operator is responsible for liquidating, porting, and clearing of all imported raw materials of its members. Subsection 2.2.6 non-activity of a member. If a member has no import or export activity for 1 year, their accreditation is automatically ended unless it is renewed. Subsection 2.2.7 states that transfer of membership. This means that members cannot transfer or to another warehouse just to escape export requirements. All raw materials must still be processed or exported within 1 year or 3 months for perishable goods. Subsection 2.2.8 transfer or sale between members. Transfer or sale between accredited members cannot extend the original storage period, meaning that timeline is still follows the first arrival date. Subsection 2.2.9 transfer of semi-finished or finished products. Members can transfer semi-finished or finished goods to another member without paying duties as long as they will still process or use the materials for export. Subsection 2.2.10 to subsection 2.2.13 monitoring and accountability. 2.2.10 WSAD must be filed for monitoring imported goods. 2.2.11 transferring or selling goods more than once between members is not allowed. 2.2.12 states that any sale or transfer of bonded goods must be approved by the district collector. 2.2.13 states that both the CCBW and its members are jointly responsible for all goods and documents. Closure of Customs Bonded Warehouse or CBW. Section 18 mainly discusses the grounds and procedures for the suspension or closure of a customs bonded warehouse. This explains that a CBW can only be closed for valid and legal reasons, dili lang basta-basta na ay due process under BOC. Subsection 18.1 are the grounds for closure. These parts are the possible reasons why a CBW may be closed by the district collector. 18.1.1 with the CBW operator request for discontinuance or if conditions under CMTA warrants it. So, kung gusto na mismo sa district collector nga stop ang operation, so it could be closed. 18.1.2 if the renewal application is found to contain false information, meaning na sila ipasabit nga fake or misleading documents. 18.1.3, failure to renew on time can also lead to closure. 18.1.4, if the warehouse is inactive for more than 1 year or so, if there is no legal or withdrawal export during that period, then closure follows. 18.1.5, when the operator or any responsible officer knowingly allows the CBW to be used for illegal activities like smuggling or storing prohibited goods. So that could be a reason for a closure. 18.1.6 to 18.1.8. This section discusses unauthorized actions such as relocation, changes in layout, or structural modifications without approval. Kung magbago sila og layout or mga location nga walay permission sa customs, dili na allowed. 18.1.9, withdrawal of goods without proper documents like the requisition slip or withdrawal form is also a ground for closure. 18.1.10, illegal withdrawal of imported or finished goods without paying duties or taxes will cause forfeiture of the items and possible closure of the CBW. 18.1.11, lastly, violation of any customs rules or regulations is also a valid reason for closure. So overall, kaning part emphasizes that operators must comply with all customs laws, otherwise their warehouse can be legally shut down. So subsection 18.2, closure order. If any of those grounds exist, the district collector shall issue a closure order using the format in the annex N. So mo ni ang official document nga testifying that the warehouse is ordered closed. So 18.3, physical closure. Upon issue, it states that upon issuance, the chief of the warehouse and inventory division will seal and secure the CBW. Usually, it is placed under guard 24 hours a day at the operator's expense, meaning sila ang mubayad sa cost sa pag-secure until all accountability are cleared. 18.4, turnover of records. This provision requires the operator to surrender all records, books, and documents related to warehouse operations to the concerned division. This ensures the transparency and accountability. 18.5, inventory of goods. The chief of the operating division will conduct a complete inventory of all imported goods, raw materials, goods in process, and finished products. This helps determine if there are unliquidated or unaccounted items left in storage. 18.6, custody of goods. All inventoried goods will be turned over to the collection district and the operator must pay the corresponding duties and taxes. Pending payment, ang gasto sa pag-secure sa goods must be shouldered sa operator. 18.7, supervision fees. Any supervision fee due before closure must still be collected and fees already paid shall not be refunded. 18.8 states that continuing liabilities. This explains that even if the CBW is closed, the operator is still accountable for any liabilities or obligations incurred before closure. Dili pasabot nga tungod na close na sila, wala na sila responsibility. So, in short, Section 18 shows that the Bureau of Customs strictly regulates CBWs to ensure compliance, honesty, and proper operations. It emphasizes that violations, negligence, or inactivity can all result in closure, but should always go through a due process. Section 10. Transfer of goods to a CBW. These are the documents that manage the secure and legal movement of bonded materials from the port or terminal into the warehouse. First, goods declaration for warehousing, WSAD or transit SAD. This is the primary electronic filing in the E2M system. It is the legal authority to place the goods under customs bond. Without this, proper declaration of the cargo cannot proceed. Transfer note or TN, the physical proof of delivery that accompanies the cargo. It is used to certify that goods were securely moved and received by the warehouse operator. Next is the bill of lading or airway bill, commercial invoice, and packing list. These are the essential commercial documents required for verification during the transfer process. All details must be correct and must match the goods declaration. Next is the import permit or clearance. It is required for all regulated or restricted goods to authorize their lawful entry into the CBW. Section 11. Withdrawal of bonded goods. These documents control the utilization of bonded materials for production, subcontracting, or final disposition, managing the CBW's bond liability. First, withdrawal form, the official customs control document that legalizes taking materials out for any purpose. It serves as the primary accountability record for customs. Next is the requisition slip. It is the operator's internal documents used to request specific raw materials from inventory for actual production or manufacturing. Next is the goods declaration for export or ESAD, required when the finished product is withdrawn and subsequently shipped outside the Philippines. Next is the goods declaration for consumption or CSAD. It is required when goods are withdrawn for domestic sale. This type of withdrawal requires special permit and payment of the corresponding duties and taxes upon the goods. Next is the authority to sell or transfer. It is required for the constructive export, the sale or transfer of bonded goods to other local CBWs or free zone locators without the payment of duties and taxes. Next is the certificate of receipt. It is needed when materials are sent to an accredited subcontractor for processing to prove receipt and maintain the inventory record. Section 12. Liquidation of CBW goods. These documents close the loop, proving the lawful disposition of all imported materials and clearing the operator's bond liability. First is the liquidation report. The main summary report detailing the balance of materials, all inputs versus all outputs, submitted to the liquidation and billing division. Next is the formula of manufacture. It is the essential technical document approved by customs which specifies the quantity of raw materials needed per finished unit. Auditors use this FOM to verify the report. Any failure to match FOM will result in a discrepancy. ESADs or CSADs. Copies of the final goods declaration submitted as proof of disposition for the finished products. Next is the wastage or scrap. Residual report. It is a mandatory report accounting for all byproducts and wastes from manufacturing, which must be secured and disposed under customs supervision. Next is statement of liquidation. It is the final official document issued by the LBD. It is either clears the operator's bond or if there are unliquidated items, leads to a demand letter bill. Penalties, violations, and compliance. First, the diversion of bonded goods results in the closure of the CBW. This happens when abandoned goods are transferred or diverted to another location without the approval of the Bureau of Customs. Second, for unauthorized withdrawal or transfer of goods, the following penalties apply. First, the operator must pay all duties and taxes plus a 50% surcharge for the second offense. The same penalties apply, but the CBW's operations are also suspended for 6 months. For the third offense, the same penalties apply again, but the CBW will be closed. If the withdrawal is done with fraud, even in the first offense, it leads to immediate closure and full payment of all dues. Third, unauthorized relocation of a warehouse automatically results in the closure of the CBW. Fourth, unauthorized changes in the layout are penalized with 6 months of suspension for the first offense and closure for the second. This covers changes in floor plans made without customs approval. Fifth, unauthorized structural changes. Extensions are treated the same way. 6 months of suspension for the first offense and closure for the second. Sixth, there are also penalties for late filing of renewal for the authority to operate or ATO. If filed 61 to 90 days before expiration, the penalty is 150,000. If 31 to 60 days before expiration, 400,000, and if only 1 to 30 days before expiration, the penalty increases to 250,000 plus suspension of privileges. Seventh, for the late exportation of goods, the penalties depend on how late the export occurs. 10,000 per entry if within 1 to 30 days, 20,000 per entry if 31 to 45 days, and if beyond 45 days, the goods are deemed abandoned. 8. For late submission of liquidation documents, the penalty are as follows: 5,000 for 1 to 30 days late, 10,000 for 31 to 60 days, 15 to 61 to 90 days, and beyond 90 days, 20,000 plus for the penal amount of the bond. Ninth, for late submission of documents for cancellation of bonds, 5,000 or 2% of the bond applies if 31 to 60 days late, 10,000 or 5% of if 61 90 days late, and beyond 90 days, 15% plus 10% of the bond. 10th, unlawful removal of goods is a serious violation punished under Section 1422 of the CMTA, which may include criminal charges. 11th, a breach of importation by the surety company is also penalized with fines or surcharges. 12th, other delinquencies is not specified are covered under Section 1430 of the CMTA, which provides for general penalties. And lastly, criminal and administrative liabilities may also apply, as stated under CMTA and other related laws. For under Count 2-2024, which discusses custom dues, fees, and charges, first, there we have underguarding fees for transfers. Both airport and seaport operations are charged 500 pesos per transfer, covering the cost of customs supervision during movement of goods. Second, the annual supervision charge. This is the annual fee paid by warehouse operators to maintain their customs accreditation. For manufacturing bonded warehouses or MBMW and garments and textiles manufacturing bonded warehouse, 50% if total assets are 5 million and below, 150,000 if between 5 million and 50 million, 250,000 if above 50 million, and 50,000 for every extension warehouse. For ICBW, such as those in the airline industry, the charge is 50,000, while others like catering services pay 250,000 plus 50,000 for each extension warehouse. Third, for common bonded warehouses, the operator pays 250,000 and members pay based on assets. Those with 3 million and below are exempted. 3 to 15 million pay 25,000, or 15 to 50 million pay 50,000, and above 50 million pay 100,000. Each extension warehouse adds 50,000. Fourth, other types of CBWs pay a flat 250,000 annual fee. Lastly, for customs facilities and warehouses, the main facility is charged 250,000. In each additional facility is 50,000. These fees ensure continued monitoring and regulation by the Bureau.